And our leader is here. He's behind the curtain, and he is ready. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the former and next President of the United States, President Donald. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, and it's great to be back in South Carolina. Thank you. Home of the legendary first in the South primary. We kept it that way. You know that. We kept it that way. First in the South. In 2016, South Carolina gave us 44 out of 46 counties. That's not so bad. It's a record. That was on primary day, and I can't wait to win all 46. We want to do 46 this year. February 24. I want to thank South Carolina GOP Chairman Drew McKissick, good friend of mine. He's done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it, Drew, wherever you may be. Drew, thank you very much. What a great job he's done. Also, we want to thank your amazing governor. You know, when I wanted some people to endorse me in 2015, and I said, who's that lieutenant governor? He looks pretty good. We skipped over somebody else very quickly. His name's McMaster. He's got a fabulous family, a fabulous wife. I said, I got to get his support if we have his support. And I got his support. And I'll tell you what, he worked about 30 hours a day. And Peggy was with him. I'll tell you that. And they worked, and we ended up winning, and we had his support. And he's my friend, and he's been a really great governor. And I just want to thank you very much. Henry and Peggy, thank you very much. You have really been a great governor, too. And he actually kept his state open, you know, unlike some people that say, gee, you kept it open. No, no. A lot of beaches were closed. The place was closed and locked up. You did a great job. A friend of mine and a guy who really understands politics. I think he understands politics better than anybody. That's why he keeps getting elected once. And I'll tell you something. You have a good man. He's a good man. And he loves you, and he loves this state. He's controversial, a little bit like I am. We maybe don't always agree on everything, but he's got a little controversy, but he's smart as hell, and he does a fantastic job for your state. Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, thank you, Lindsey. Thank you. And he does a great job. And he's been with me, and I appreciate it. Solves a lot of problems, this man. Also, you have some incredible representatives that have been with me from the beginning. Joe Wilson. Where's Joe? Joe Wilson. I love it. I never forget his little outburst. Nobody knows what I'm talking about with that word, that little outburst. Where is Joe? He stood up. Where the hell are you, Joe? He stood up and he spoke from the heart. And we love him. Thank you, Joe. William Timmons. William, thank you, William. Thank you. Great job. And somebody that came in on the fly, and he's Fry. Russell Fry. Where's Russell? He went in and he did a job. Thank you, Russell. And he really has, those two guys and that whole group that I mentioned, they're warriors. Every one of them is a warrior, all different, all very different people, different forms of fight. But they're all warriors. And another warrior is your Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evett. Pamela, great job. And former Lieutenant Governor, terrific guy, Andre Bauer. Andre. Attorney General Alan Wilson. Secretary of State Mark Hammond. Superintendent of Education, Ellen Weaver. Friend of mine, Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Curtis, thank you. And National Committeeman Glenn McCall, Committeewoman Cindy Costa, State Representatives Daniel Gibson, Heather Crawford, Cal Forrest Jr., and Ambassador Ed McMullen. He's been with me from the beginning, too. Last but not least, today I'm honored and really honored to receive the endorsement of the Speaker of the South Carolina House, a man that's respected by everybody, a great guy with a fabulous wife and family. Representatives, Merrill Smith, please. Where is Merrill, please? Great job. Thank you very much. You've done a great job. We appreciate it. Merrill Smith. Also, one of the most important issues of the campaign will be who can rescue our country from the burning wreckage of Bidenomics. You know what that stands for, right? Henceforth, it'll be defined as inflation, taxation, submission, and failure. Under my leadership, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We actually built the greatest economy in the history of the world, and you were a big beneficiary in South Carolina. In fact, we did it twice. And when I get back in the Oval Office, and I always say we because we're getting back. It's not me, it's we. But we will do it once again, and it'll be bigger and better and stronger than ever before with all of the things you're watching, and it's horrible. I looked at New York City last night with what's going on there. I look at Chicago. I look at all of these different places, all run by Democrats, by the way. Not Henry, all run by Democrats. Henry, you must go crazy when you see the incompetence and the stupidity, but all run by Democrats. But day one, the Biden economic bust will be replaced with the historic Trump economic boom. We're going to have a boom like beyond what we had, and we had the best ever recorded. Any numbers you see that are economically positive right now in the Biden administration are because they're running on the fumes of what we created years prior to their taking office. We created something that was so incredible, and they're running on fumes right now because what they've done is unbelievable and so bad and so foolish and so stupid. The contrast between our agenda's incredible success and Joe Biden's crushing economic failures could not have been more stark. Let's look at some of the facts comparing crooked Joe Biden, and he is crooked as hell. Boy, do you believe what's going on? Lindsay, what's going on with this guy? He's crooked. Now we have to do something about it. They do, we don't. We got to do something about it. I think it's up to $32 million so far they've caught, $32 million. And that's peanuts. That's what they've caught. And Jamie Comer and Jim Jordan have done an incredible job in their committees. They really have in finding out. And they're being blocked every way along the way, but they don't care. They're going, and they've got a lot more. And they tell me, and they tell everybody, you just watch them, they say there's much more to come, and it's really bad. Let's look at the facts comparing crooked Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump. Under Biden, real incomes have gone down by $7,400 per family. Think of that. And under President Trump, yearly income went up on average $6,000. Nobody's ever come close to that number. During Biden's first 30 months in office, just 2.1 million new jobs were created. And by contrast, during my first 30 months in office, we created 4.9 million new jobs, a record, millions and millions more. Experts predicted, by the way, that we'd have a much lower number. We had a record number. Under Bidenomics, gas prices are again nearing $4 a gallon. Do you see what's happening? Your gas is going up, everybody. Your cars are going to have to get smaller. And then they're forcing into all electric. Does everybody like the idea of all electric and you can drive for 1 hour? So crazy. These people are crazy. But gas prices are again nearing $4 a gallon. And for much of Biden's term, you have to remember, Americans have paid $5, $6, and $7 a gallon. And you're coming up and you're coming back to those prices again. You know, we did a great job in filling up the strategic reserves. And now he's just decimating. We have the lowest the lowest level I think ever recorded. And that's not meant to keep gasoline prices down for an election. That's meant for war, that's meant for military, that's meant for major emergency, and they use it just to try and keep it down, but they're almost out. It's almost down right to the bottom. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And if you look at your energy costs and your gasoline prices, they're going up, and they're going up very fast. And inflation has reached the highest level in half century, and mortgage rates are now pushing a brutal 7%, and they are going much higher. Americans now have to pay $366,000 more in interest payments just to purchase a house. So you purchase a house, it's going to cost you almost $500,000 more in interest payments. When I was your president, the 30-year mortgage rate reached a record low of 2.65%. Doesn't that sound good? Doesn't that sound good? Inflation was less than 1.9%, and we had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon. Under crooked Joe Biden, the radical Democrat communists have piled over $10,000 of job-killing regulatory costs onto the backs of every single American household. And they did this in less than 3 years. By contrast, under the Trump administration, we cut the cost of job-killing regulations by an amazing record number, $11,000 per household. You know, little things like your sink. You know, you buy a sink and no water comes out because they have regulators on the water. Even if you're in a state where water comes out of heaven all day long, doesn't make any difference. When you take a shower, I like to have, I have this gorgeous head of hair. When I take a shower, I want water to pour down on me. When you go into these new homes with showers, the water drips down slowly, slowly. You have suds, beautiful, nice, wonderful suds, a lot of money, Procter & Gamble, all that crap that they say is good. Probably cost them about 2 cents and they sell it for $10. But you can't, it takes you 10 minutes to wash your hair. You know what you do? You just stay in the shower about 10 times longer than you would have. It's the same. You probably use more water. I broke all that up. I opened it up. Your sinks, everything. They had dishwashers where the head of Whirlpool came to see me. They were in serious trouble in Ohio. And they said, we don't have any water. They don't let us use water. He holds up a little glass and he says, the bottom of the glass is water. That's what we're allowed for washing machines and dishes. And I said, that's crazy. So I immediately broke it up. We opened it up and people got the greatest washing machines and dishwashing machines and everything. And we opened up the showers. We opened up everything. And you're talking about, for the most part, states that have so much water, they don't know what the hell to do with it. And we did a great job. He goes in almost immediately after he gets into office. He ended up putting the restrictors back on, all restrictors. So now you can go buy a new home and you can't wash your hands. It's really a terrible thing. But we'll open up. That was one little thing that were really just a few. It's just like with the electric cars where, in a short period of time, everybody's going to have electric. You know who that's great for? China, because they make all the electric cars. We have gasoline. They have all of the other minerals and everything else in their earth that are good for electric cars. They are going to take over the world with the stupidity. We have an economy that I had going at a level that nobody's ever seen before, and they were really concerned. We were always going to be caught by China in 2018. When 2018 came along, we were so far beyond them, I said that if presidents are smart, they will never be able to catch us. We were doubling them up. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. They never saw anything like it. They said, this guy, not one president ever charged them for decades 10 cents of anything. They were ripping us off, just like most other countries of the world. They were ripping us off. It's actually hard to believe how we survived. But of course, you have $35 trillion in debt. And we were going to do so much with energy that we were going to pay off a lot of that debt because if you ever took a look at Saudi Arabia and some of these oil-producing nations, the kind of money that they make is astronomical. Well, we have more oil. I call it liquid gold, oil and gas, liquid gold under our feet than any other nation in the world by far. Did you know that? And we were going to supply all of Europe. We were going to supply everybody. We were going to make so much money, we'd pay off debt, and then we'd lower taxes again. We had the biggest tax cut in history. We were going to lower taxes still further. And then these guys get in because an election was rigged. They get into office, and what do? Let's stop drilling. Oil prices at the highest price ever, and they say, let's stop drilling. When oil prices are high, that's when you should say, let's drill and make a fortune, and let's pay off debt, and let's lower people's taxes. But they didn't do that. Joe Biden immediately shut down, first thing, almost the first day, shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, surrendered our energy independence and future dominance. We're going to be dominant. We were going to produce more oil and gas than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined. And when I took over, we were in third place. When I left, we were long in first place. We were like a rocket ship. When you look at the graphs, we have them, and I show them to you. If you want to see me afterwards, I'll give them to you personally. But please don't say that, because you got a lot of people in this room up there. It's a lot of people. Congratulations, Drew. But now he's pushing the largest tax hike in American history. I don't know if you know that, but your taxes are going to go way, way up. President Trump got you the biggest tax cuts and regulatory cuts in history by far, and we achieved American energy independence for the first time in 60 years. And we were soon going to be energy dominant for the first time ever. We're going to be dominant. We're going to be dominant all over the world. And they stopped it. They stopped. And I fought for the workers of South Carolina like no president has ever fought before. And I appreciate, Henry, you're saying that. But it was very important to me. You know, we ran twice in the state. We won twice by a lot. We won both primaries. Now we're going to do it again, and this will be the single biggest and most important election in the history of our country, maybe in the history of the world, because we're going to turn our country around, because our country right now and our leader right now is an embarrassment. He can't put two sentences together. He can't speak. I watch. Everybody's on, even me, I'm watching. I say, oh, this guy, he can't talk. And, you know, when you look, I got to know these world leaders, President Xi, Macron of France, all these big leaders, every one of them. Kim Jong-un of North Korea, oh, sir, he's got a lot of nuclear weapons. I did a great job in North Korea. You didn't have any problems, right? But then you're having a problem now because he's not so happy. But all these leaders, and Putin would have never gone in, as an example, would have never in a million years, not even a thought of going into Ukraine. Wouldn't have happened. I told him you're not going in. We got along good. Nothing wrong with getting along. We got along good, but he wasn't going in. They had no chance. And by the way, China would not be going in. President Xi would not be going into Taiwan, and he's awfully close to wanting to go in because he thinks your leader is incompetent. He has no respect for our country anymore. He respected our country so much. He was so afraid of me with the tariffs. No more tariffs, please. No more tariffs, please. Please, no more tariffs. Stop it. You know, when I first put the tariffs on, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. I gave $28 billion to the farmers. But when I first put the tariffs on, China, very smart, by the way, sharp. Oh, the press hates when I say, you shouldn't say they're sharp. No, they got 1.4 billion people. They have a man that controls that very, very strongly. But when I say that, yes, he's an intelligent man, they say, President Trump said he's intelligent. Yeah, he's intelligent. He's so intelligent that he's been ripping off our country for years and years and years. And we had it done to a level, but they pretended the tariffs didn't matter. No, we don't care about tariffs. And I was shocked, you know, so I said, all right, if they don't care, let's raise it from 25% to 50%. We never had a tariff, you know. They tariff us. If we sell something into China, they tariff the hell out of us, right? So they say, no, we don't care about it. We don't care because they're smart, you know, just like the Democrats, what they go, misinformation, disinformation. That's what they are. They're a party of disinformation. We want to run against Trump. Well, if they did, they wouldn't have every DA in the nation. They wouldn't have all these people. If they wanted to run against Trump, they'd say, please, come on, step up to the plate. And by the way, virtually every poll, we're kicking Biden's ass. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And if I wasn't, we wouldn't be under investigation by deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged human being. You take a look at that face, you say, that guy is a sick man. There's something wrong with him. Somebody said, why don't you be nice to him? I said, yeah, wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter. This guy's a maniac. They gave me a maniac. They gave him the nicest man in the world. You know the boxers hoax, right? The boxers hoax. This guy's got 1,850 boxes, Lindsay. He's got boxes in Chinatown. He's got boxes in his garage by the Corvette, where the house is run by Hunter. I wonder what happened with those boxes. And he's got boxes at Penn all over the place. But all they care about is Trump. And you know what? I'm under the Presidential Records Act, which is a big deal. He's under nothing. He didn't have it because he was a vice president. The Presidential Records Act says I can do whatever I want. I did the right thing. No, it's just a hoax. These guys, what they're doing with this election interference, and the Senate has to step up and do something. The House is doing a lot of things. But the Senate, under perhaps the worst leader in the history of our country running the Senate, Mitch McConnell, has to step up and do something, because they have done, and you have some good ones, and that guy right there is trying very hard. He's working hard, but they need a lot of other people. And they better do, and stop just handing out money every time. 1.7 trillion to the Democrats, and they get 10 votes. I'm telling you, Lindsay, they have something on Mitch McConnell. There's no way that he's doing this. They've got something on Mitch McConnell. It's a terrible thing that's happening with that guy and with the whole. They got to step up. The House is stepping up. They're working hard, and they are stepping up. And I think a lot of things are happening, but we'll see. I withdrew from the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord. This was the greatest ripoff. We had to pay billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars, and China didn't have to pay anything. Russia didn't have to pay anything. India didn't have to pay anything. You know why? Because they're developing countries. They said, we're a developing country, too. Did you see New York 2 nights ago? Did you see Chicago? We're a developing country, too. We're a disaster country right now, and it's a real sad thing what's happening to America, I will tell you. I ended the worst trade deal in history, NAFTA. This was the worst trade deal ever. Everybody said, you'll never get it ended. I got Congress to end it and replaced it with the best trade deal this country has ever made, the USMCA, the best trade deal ever made. And it's so good, in fact, that Mexico and Canada are now trying to renegotiate the deal with the Biden administration. And I would think that they have a good chance. All they have to do is see Hunter and work it out. It would be good. I mean, I think it's really good. But think of it, I gave the farmers $28 billion. You know, we talked about Iowa. We could talk about South Carolina, but we talk about Iowa and Nebraska farm states. I said, there's no way I lose Iowa. There's no way I lose any of them, including, I say, Wisconsin, because I gave the farmers $28 billion, which is the amount of money that China ripped off from our farmers over a 4-year period of time. I got them checks for $28 billion. I said, there's no way that anybody else would have been able to do that, except maybe Henry McMaster. He might be the only one. Henry, you would have been able to do it. But we gave him $28 billion. I said, there's no way we lose Iowa. And we're way up in Iowa. We're up like by 40 points or something. We created nearly 20,000 South Carolina manufacturing jobs in just 3 years, a record that maybe will be broken someday, but I don't think so very quickly, which everyone said could not be done, Henry, and you were a big part of it. You know that, right? I want to take full credit, so I don't like giving, but I like this guy so much, I'm giving him all this credit. You do have a great governor and a great first lady. And we delivered $140 million to ensure that Charleston has the deepest water port on the East Coast. And to that I say, Henry, do you want to make it the deepest water port in the entire world? Would you like to do that? We'll make it a little deeper, Henry, if you want. Henry would call me, we need some money to deepen the port. Oh, how much would that cost? About, $4 billion. Oh, that's great, Henry. Thank you. I appreciate it. But we have the deepest on the whole East Coast, and we might even work on it. Make it a little deeper. We'll make it the deepest in the country, and then it's the world. First it's the country, and then it's the world. But it's been a tremendous success, and it's an honor to have been involved. Crooked Joe Biden cares only about enriching his own family, as you probably have heard. I care about enriching your family. I gave up a lot to do this job, I'll tell you. I gave up a lot to deal with these thugs. You know what I get? Because I've done a good job, I get to deal with thugs. So as soon as we get back in the White House, I will end the disaster known as Bidenomics, and we will once again implement the proven economic formula that puts America first. We're going to put America first. They don't put America first. And very quickly, our economy will be great again, and our country will be absolutely, like I say, fairly quickly, like never before. We'll get it to a level that we had it up to, and we'll do things that nobody will believe. And, you know, one of the good things about not having, I mean, not a lot of good when you look at millions of people pouring into our country every day, totally unchecked, and all of the horrible things that are happening with inflation and everything. But one of the things that is positive is that for 4 years, we've watched the most incompetent people and the most incompetent and corrupt president we've ever had destroy our country, and we'll be able to do things that we maybe never would have been able to do had we just done it the traditional way. We'll be able to do because they see the crime, they see all of the things, they see people walking into stores, thugs walking into stores, hundreds of young people walking into a department store, walking out with everything in the store, and then they announce they're going to close the stores in different cities. I won't even mention them, but you know the same cities. And we're going to close the stores because it's no longer economically viable. They walk out, and you know the law enforcement is great, the police are great, they know exactly how to stop it, but they're not allowed to do it. They don't want to lose their pension, they don't want to lose their wife, they don't want to lose their husband, they don't want to lose all of the things that they're threatened. Don't do anything. They actually fire employees who fight with people. Please don't steal that. And they'll fire the employee. There's something crazy going on in our country. But we'll stop that, and we're going to stop it on day one. We'll terminate every Biden regulation that's harming South Carolina workers, of which there are many. And I will cancel Biden's destructive Green New Deal. It's an insane thing. I'm for the environment. I want clean water, crystal clean. I want beautiful, clean air. But what they're doing to this country is incredible. They're destroying our shores, our oceans. They're putting windmills all over the place. In New Jersey, they'd never had whales coming up shore. They might have one every 3 or 4 years. Now it's like routine. Whales, big, magnificent whales are being washed up on shore like nothing. It's so sad to see, and everybody knows the reason. Everybody knows the reason. To terminate this crippling electric vehicle mandates, we're going to do it. We're going to do it fast, and we will stop having all of these cars being built in China. We're building our cars back here. We're going to build them back here. They want to take that whole thing away from you like they did with Mexico and like they did with a lot of other places. I'll ask Congress to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. You know, your tax cuts that we got you, the biggest tax cut in history, you know, it pretty much is going to be coming due in a very short period of time. And when that happens, your taxes are going to go through the roof. That'll be a terrible thing, and that's given to you as a gift from the Democrats. Remember that. But we will reduce taxes even further. We'll get it extended, and we will reduce taxes further, because the thing that built our economy with the regulation cuts and those tremendous tax cuts, the incentive for people to work, and they don't have the incentive right now. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows. Nobody has any. They have no clue. They announce employment numbers which sound good, 3.5%, but nobody's looking for a job. So they're fake numbers. In other words, they don't include these people. They're fake. I spoke with Larry Kudlow. He said, it's so sad what they're trying to get away with. The whole thing with these people is a con. It's a con. It's like a con job. It's disinformation. Like Russia, disinformation. It's all disinformation. These are crooked people. These are very bad people, and they're very dangerous people. To bring tens of thousands more manufacturing jobs back to South Carolina, I will impose a border tariff on all foreign-made goods. So if they want to sell into our country, and if they want to take our jobs by doing that, we're going to have a tax that's going to be a privilege tax. And this has happened before. You know, in the 1890s, we had a president who was extremely strong on exactly what I'm talking about right now. We had an unbelievably profitable country. We had a country that had so much money, they actually had a commission set up. How do we spend our wealth? They had so much money coming in. I don't know if you know this, Lindsay, it's an incredible part of our country. That's when we built the dams and the this and that we built everything. And that was an amazing age. What happened is we had commissions set up how to spend our wealth. We had so much wealth because we charged people for the privilege of selling into our country. They want to sell into our country. You have to pay to do that. It'll also pass what's called the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. And I don't want to get Lindsey Graham in trouble, but he told me that this is, he's sitting there saying, oh, please don't say. He doesn't know what I'm going to say. But I don't want to get him in trouble. But I thought it was really sort of incredible. I said, Lindsey, I want to pass a Reciprocal Trade Act because we have countries that in order to do business in those countries, we have a 200% tariff, a 250%, 100%, a 50%, massive, massive numbers, so that our factories in South Carolina can't really sell it to these other countries because they have a tax. So what I want to do is called the Reciprocal Trade Act. If they charge us a tax, we charge them a tax. He said, well, you know, it's very interesting. So you're saying that, because again, this is not, he's got some incredible strengths, but this is not something that he considers to be his strength. He said to me, so you're saying that if they charge us 100%, we charge them 100%? I said, that's right, Lindsey. He said, you got my vote, 100%. And he did. We had his vote. But we had other senators that were very stupid. I said to one who's no longer with us, happens to come from the state of Pennsylvania. I won't mention his name. But I'd say to him, Senator, let me ask you, China charges us like 175% tariff on certain products. We charge nothing to them. They just dump it in this country. Do you think we could charge them 100% tariff? No, sir, that wouldn't be free trade. I said, oh, what about 75%? No. They're at 175%. We're at 75. What about 50%? What about 10%? No, sir, you can't do it. I said, he's either the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever seen, or there's something going on. There's something going on. We're going to do a Reciprocal Trade Act because the entire world rips off the United States of America. And by the way, one of two things, and Lindsey understands this, he understood it very quickly, and he did, I swear. Do you remember that conversation? He said, so you mean that's what they do? They do that, and we do this? It sounds good to me. You got my vote, right? But we don't have other people's votes, and you often wonder why, because it doesn't get any simpler. We're talking about solving this massive deficit problem, and one of two things would happen. Either they'd stop charging the tax, and then we would stop, or we'll take a hell of a lot of money into our coffers. So it's very simple. I don't know if you know, you've been watching Live Golf, and a lot of the golfers, I'm friends with a lot of the golfers, and I got a lot of credit for this, actually, which is unusual for the press. They'd call me, they'd say, sir, I was offered $185 million to leave the tour and go with Live. I said, take the money. But sir, what about my legacy? I said, don't worry about your legacy, take the money. Your legacy is going to be just fine. You'll be known as a very smart person. And this particular person took the money, and others took the money. A lot of them took the money. And then they announced a merger. And many of them didn't take the money. And I said, take the money, because there's only three things that can happen. Live would fail, Live would succeed, or Live would merge. And in any event, it's all cash. It's not paid like, we'll give you your money back over the next 250 years. It's a cash, it's a check. And those guys that took the money are very, very smart people, and they're very rich people. And others, a lot of them, a week before the merger, as I understand it, they turned down hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they hear, we're going to merge. They say, oh man, did we just blow it? So a lot of this stuff is common sense. These border taxes, we're going to have to do it. Our country can become immediately rich, so rich like never before. And look back into the 1890s, look back into we were taking in money, and it's not so different. It's a long time ago, but that's when we ran our country smart. The problem is we have so many lobbyists and people that want China to do well and they don't care about us, or they want other countries to do well and they couldn't care less about us. One thing with me, I care about this country and I care about you, and we're going to do it right. We're going to do it right. And we'll gain total independence from China, and we'll hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for unleashing the horrible China virus upon the world. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something. They'll do something. Like Mexico, they gave us 28,000 soldiers. Everybody said, oh, you didn't get money for the war. I said, yes, I did. No, you didn't get money for I said, no, we built the wall. We built almost 500 miles. We got money. What do you mean we didn't get money? They gave us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. 28,000! That's more than giving us a couple of bucks for a wall. They guarded our border for a long time, 28,000. And everybody thought when I asked for that it was ridiculous. I tell the story a lot where the very wonderful woman that from the State Department, but she never got anything. She was in charge of Mexico for like 25 years. She said, sir, you won't get that. I said, of course we'll get it. Why wouldn't we get it? I said, I want 28,000 soldiers to guard our border while we're building the wall. We're building the wall. And the people from Mexico, the meeting was set up. And I happen to like the president of Mexico a lot. He's a socialist, but you can't have everything. But I like him. I like him. But very different, but I like him. Great guy. But they said, no, we wouldn't give. Why would we give that? They were laughing at me. I said, no, you're going to give it 100%. Why do you say that? You're going to give it. No, we're not going to give 28,000 soldiers free of charge. What? He looked at me like there's something wrong. I said, no, you will give it. And also, we need a couple of other things, like you stay in Mexico. So these criminals coming in will now stay in Mexico. Congratulations, and stay in Mexico. Catch and release. We're going to release them, but we're going to release them in Mexico, not in our country. You know, right now we have catch and release where we release them because Biden broke up these unbelievable deals that took a lot of guile to make with Mexico. So he said, we're not going to give you 28,000 soldiers, sir. We're not going to give you any soldiers. I said, yes, you are. So I said, come on over, let's talk. You're going to do it. So I explained it to him once more, and I had the State Department people sitting there, and they were sort of smiling because they knew I wouldn't be able to win. I said, give us 28,000 soldiers. He said, no. I said, here's what I'm doing on Monday morning. We're putting a tariff on every single car made in Mexico coming into the United States of 25%, and every single product made in Mexico that comes into the United States at 25% tariff. This is going to be 5 times more than the cost of these soldiers. So you have 10 minutes to let me know. You're going to give me the soldiers. You're going to get rid of catch and release. We're going to have catch and release is called in Mexico. And we're going to do all of these things, including our medical solution. You know all about that Biden ended. What this man is doing to the country, he's either the dumbest human being alive, and I think, honestly, I do believe it's run not by him, all of this stuff. How can you cheat on an election so well and be dumb? How can you do that? But he's surrounded by Marxist communists, and they're smart. But they're either evil or they don't know. But I really believe they hate our country because nobody can allow this to happen. So I said, we want the 28. He said, well, you're going to charge us that? Yes. And then it's going to go up a lot in a very short period of time. But you're going to be paying us billions and billions and billions of dollars. You know, they stole our car industry. They took 32% of the cars that we made in this country are now made in Mexico. None during my time, because I had that stopped. Any car company that wants to go to Mexico or another country, they had a lot of problems. They didn't do it. I had it stopped. But then you have a bad election, and a lot of bad things happen. So he comes back. I gave him 10 minutes. He came back in about 4. Sir, it'd be such an honor, sir, to give you 28,000 soldiers. We want to give you 28,000 soldiers, sir. We can have them there immediately. And we got 28,000 soldiers for nothing for years. And we stopped drugs coming in, and we stopped human trafficking at a level. We had the safest border in the history of our country as we were building the wall. We built hundreds of miles of wall. And then we said, we completed that, and then we said, let's build another 200 miles because we saw areas where it was really bad. And we had that whole structure was built. All they had to do was install it. Would have taken 3 weeks, and they unfortunately took over. And they refused to put the wall up. And then they actually took the wall because Texas and Arizona wanted to put it up. They refused to give it to them, and they actually took it and they toted it far away. where they couldn't get to it. It was made, the wall was all made and ready to go up. So we did hundreds of miles. We had the safest border in history, and it's so sad to see what's happening when you see mental institutions, when you see all of these people pouring into this country. It is such a sad thing to watch. It's so sad what's happening to our country. There's never been anything like it. To stop this inflation catastrophe that's hanging down and destroyed many nations, we're going to bring down the cost of energy, and we're going to become energy independent. We're going to become dominant. We will be dominant. We were ready to be dominant and dominate Saudi Arabia and Russia. We were going to be twice as big as Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. But we're going to be there very, very quickly. As soon as we get in, we're going to be there very, very quickly. And our cry is going to be, drill, baby, drill. And you're going to see prices come plummeting, and you're going to see inflation disappear. And especially after U.S. debt was just downgraded this week. You saw that. Just downgraded in a historic disaster. We have to aggressively roll back Joe Biden's socialist spending spree. He's spending money on things that are only going to be bad for us, really bad things. Very, very few of those, they call it infrastructure. It's not infrastructure. It's not infrastructure as you know infrastructure. What they're doing is so bad. If we simply returned to the amount of government spending that we had under my leadership in 2018, we would right now have a balanced budget. Did anybody know that? You know, if we went back just a few years, we would have a balanced budget, and we were getting ready to have a balanced budget, and then we got hit with a thing called the China virus, and we had other things to focus on. That was a terrible time for this country. That was a terrible time for the world, and we did a hell of a job with it, too. What we did with that was incredible, with all of the things we had to do, because our country was totally unstocked. We had nothing. Nobody knew what it was. It was this horrible killing dust. But it came out of Wuhan. And I said right from the beginning, it comes out of that lab in Wuhan. And everybody said, he shouldn't say that. He's wrong. He's wrong. It turned out that I was right. With this goal in mind, I will fight to implement major spending reductions by restoring the president's historic impoundment power, which will enable us to cut massive amounts of waste and stupidity. Not good things, but waste and stupidity, and return billions of dollars into the U.S. Treasury. We used to have this, and now we don't. And unlike a guy named Ron DeSanctimonious, has anyone ever heard of him? Very disloyal guy. I got him into office, and then he said, yeah, I guess I'd run against him. Why not? Who voted to gut Medicare. Do you know that DeSantis, that's the abbreviated name, DeSantis wanted to gut Medicare and 3 times voted against Social Security, including raising the retirement age to 70. And one thing I found about politicians, when they have an initial idea and then they maybe go